Near telepathy, music, language, and the art of mutual understanding. I remember playing bass in a high school band class and later guitar in a college ensemble. During performances, we would need clear and ongoing cues from our band conductor in order to land key hits in a synchronized fashion and to keep rhythmic drift at bay. As inexperienced musicians, we required such central coordination even while playing straightforward compositions in common meters with simple rhythmic patterns. As a result, tight coordination would spontaneously emerge only during moments of focused collective attention. When it did, we would relish the uncanny sense of intimate communication and bonding that it produced. This is a far cry from the group dynamics of highly accomplished professional musicians who consistently navigate complex polyrhythms and variable patterns with remarkable skillfulness, or perform intricate unison melodies in such a way as to give the impression of a single instrument being played by a singular mind. These are aspects of musical performance commonly found in elite Indian classical or jazz ensembles, where you need not only a deep familiarity with the material, but keen emotional and practical attunement to the intentions and expressive cues of other band members, treating musical gestures as a form of communication. Elite ensembles that operate at a high level in those respects seem to display near telepathic responsiveness. In reality, they are highly skilled communicators who have cultivated a shared musical vernacular, formed through melodic phrases and rhythmic patterns whose primary meanings are affective rather than conceptual. Some philosophers of music have argued that while instrumental music does not communicate conceptual content through symbolic representation, it nevertheless possesses its own affective vocabulary and organizing grammar, and is thus structured like a language in the sense of functioning as a system of communication. As with learning the building blocks of a new language, especially as an adult, the patterns of emotionally suggestive expression in music are first internalized by musicians individually, and then collectively mastered by listening as skillfully as they play. Musicianship is developed through practice, rehearsal, recordings, and live performance. Music is therefore arguably similar to language in terms of several analogous elements: grammar, communicative function, and social conventionality. As a result, the acquisition of technical competence as well as aesthetic sensibility and communicative effectiveness in music mirrors the process of language acquisition, use, and refinement. Music ensembles demonstrate how non-discursive communication of intention and meaning can be achieved through embodied responsiveness arising from the internalization of shared practices. Meaning and intentions are realized at multiple levels. First, there are the intentions of the composer or the framework provided by the composition. There are individual intentions and interpretive choices. And finally, there is also the Gestalt experience emerging from spontaneous collective interaction. All of these form a complex web of non-symbolic meanings and intentions open to interpretation through active participation or more passive consumption. As with other forms of performance art, meanings and intentions can be understood in terms of discrete elements contributing to experience in the moment, while the effect of the performance as a whole can also be considered after the fact. This mirrors the dual aspect character of language, which has an immediate performative function, but can also be treated as an object of contemplation considered apart from its immediate use. In the temporal unfolding of speech, interaction requires real-time responsiveness between interlocutors, while text can be considered as a whole beyond the linear experience of reading individual words and sentences. In the same way, music requires real-time attentiveness and reaction between artists, but can also be encountered as an object of holistic contemplation and analysis. The same musical phenomenon can therefore be encountered in the first-person mode of a performer and as an object of reflective treatment by the analyst or attentive audience member. The latter involves a more reflective perspective, while the former implies the immersion of lived experience and interaction. Of course, these different modes of access to the same phenomenon are by no means mutually exclusive. However, what emerges in the midst of engaged performances at the elite level is a remarkable kind of communion that only direct participants can fully experience. High-level musical artists exhibit the kind of practical intimacy you would expect from mature companions or lifelong friends. Intimacy not necessarily in the sense of affection and emotional investment, but spontaneous understanding and responsiveness. During heightened moments of interaction, there emerges a frictionless interplay of anticipating, extending, and complementing one another's intentions, all with the care and precision of conscious deliberation, but with the immediacy of lived interaction. This is the result of a natural progression from technical mastery and the gradual acquisition of a shared vocabulary to the refinement of mutual responsiveness resulting in seamless, seemingly telepathic communication. This comparison between music and language is arguably illustrative of some of the fundamental features of highly effective communication. Practical intimacy requires strong mutual understanding, which rests upon fluency in a shared language, continual refinement of attentive listening, and as the call and response of improvised jazz and classical Indian ensembles implies, a desire for mutual recognition in which individual creativity and collective expression reinforce one another.